I just caught my girlfriend in bed with my dad. So to start, I am 22, have been with my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend Kate, fake name, F, 21, for just shy of 3 years. Our relationship throughout the 3 years has been amazing. She had always been kind and supportive and very open and honest with me. We had dates often, our love-making life was great, we had very few arguments, but when we did get into a disagreement we managed to communicate and come to an understanding before long. I believed our relationship to be healthy and loving, but apparently, I was wrong. On to the story. About a week ago, I had started to notice that Kate was becoming very touchy about me being on or around her phone. This was odd to me because not only had she always let me use her phone to make calls if mine was flat or I didn't have immediate access to mine, but she had also downloaded games for me to play on her phone so she could distract me when she wanted to watch her shows.
Kate began snapping at me for asking to borrow her phone or snatching it out of my hand if I was so much as moving it away from the edge of the counter so it wouldn't fall, and whenever I questioned her behavior she brushed it off and explained she was just in a bad mood. Her constant dismissal of my noticeable confusion began to annoy me, so I asked her if she was hiding anything from me, which led to an argument about her saying I was accusing her of infidelity and not trusting her, and began trying to get physical with me, in which case I shut the argument down and told her to
sleep in the guest bedroom. She was very angry about it, but I told her we would talk about it in the morning.
When we did talk about it, she apologized for her behavior and gave me her phone. I told her I trusted her and I didn't need to go through it, and to be frank, I did trust her and I believed her outburst to be due to the ongoing stress at work, which was clearly stupid of me. The next day I noticed she had gotten a mist from my father.
I had never known my father to like Kate or even have her contact at that. In fact, I was convinced they both disliked each other. At any and every family event they would often argue or make snarky remarks at one another until we would have to leave due to the tense atmosphere they had created. So I decided to ask Kate why my father had called her. She physically froze and mumbled an excuse about it being my birthday soon and he had planned something, but my father and I were never very close, so I didn't understand why he would, but I played it off and decided to go about my day. Then the following night I had texted her explaining that I had a late shift and I would be back around 10 p.m. latest. Which I did. We
ended up being dismissed early due to an incident regarding our manager and a few staff, and so I was heading home by 7 p.m. I tried calling her, but she had her phone off, so I assumed it had gone flat or she had turned it off, which she does often at home. When I made it home I noticed my father's car 2 houses down from ours, and so I tried calling him, but his phone was also turned off, which I found odd because my mother likes his phone to be on so she can call him when she needs him. She's handicapped. I assumed my mother was with him, so I opened the door quietly to surprise her, as
I haven't seen her in a while, and I was met with the sight of my girlfriend bent over the kitchen counter with my father behind her. They both froze and started profusely yelling and telling me it wasn't what it looked like and that they could explain, but I shut and locked the door from the outside, deadbolt, and made my way to a friend's house. Since then they've both been blowing up my phone, apologizing and begging me not to say anything to anyone, and quite frankly I'm just disgusted.
Disgusted in my father, who is turning 60 next month and has my mother to take care of, and disgusted in Kate, who was getting railed by my father for who knows how long.
I honestly just want to throw up and set them both on fire, but I'm most worried about how my mother will take this situation, as she's very dependent on my father and adores him. How should I go about this? I don't need closure or to confront them. I don't want to know how their gross relationship started or how long it's been going on for. I just need advice on how to approach the situation without causing a bigger mess than there is. Any advice is welcome. Thank you for reading. TLDR. I caught my 60ys lasho father banging my girlfriend on my kitchen counter, and I don't know how to handle the situation without blowing it up. The top replies, wow, painful on every level. The word betrayal isn't strong enough. It's also a surreal feeling when all the odd behaviors before make sense now. This just happened, too, and the fallout will unfortunately have a longer lifespan. As a gentle reminder, you don't have to figure out the situation with your mom right this minute or even tomorrow. This has got to be a huge, emotional shock, and you get to take time to process what's happened and your initial emotional state before figuring out the next steps. Second reply. Your father will have already said something to your mother, I assume. like a lie prepared to get her not to believe you. Have your girlfriend pack her bags, she can stay anywhere else. If she's refusing to leave, stay with a mate for now. Your mum is harder, she's in a more vulnerable position. Ultimately, it's up to her whether she wants to stay or leave, but let her know that she can stay with you or that you'll help her move her stuff out if she has another person's house she can stay at. I assume you're in a one-bedroom apartment? I don't know her personality, but given her disability and the length of their marriage, she may feel more inclined to stay. Best not to pressure her to leave, just have you both support each other. Please let her know that she isn't less than, she doesn't deserve this, and that he had no right to do that to her, just like your girlfriend had no right to do this to you. You both deserved better than this. I'm sorry this happened. I'm worried your father will argue that he needed to be cared for, instead of doing the caring to guilt your disabled mother into finding his actions excusable. But there's no excuse for cheating, especially with your son's girlfriend. Update. Continuation of my previous update. My mother and I gave ourselves a few days to get through all the messages and phone calls and blocked my maternal grandparents as well as my father. My mother didn't already have him blocked. I contacted my landlord and real estate agent and informed them briefly of the situation, and I was no longer living on the premises and that I would like to have my name taken off the lease. Luckily our lease was being renewed in that coming week, and the next day they contacted Kate to inform her that I had taken my name off the lease for the following month. And in the next week, if she was unable to take on my portion of rent, she would have 3 months to vacate the property. I don't know how she reacted, but I could tell it wasn't overly ecstatic as her parents contacted me and asked if despite everything I would be willing to pay for her rent, just for his month, because she doesn't have the money for it at the moment. Obviously I declined and told them that I no longer have anything to do with her anymore.
They then informed me she was pregnant with my child and needed assistance from the father of her baby, and this would be a last goodbye. I then laughed and told them I most definitely wasn't the father of that baby if she was pregnant and if she needed assistance from her baby daddy to contact my father. Then I hung up and blocked them. On a brighter note, my mother and I have just put a down payment on a house together and are looking into hiring a caregiver to help my mother for when I have work or trips out of state.
My father has attempted to call both of us from multiple phone numbers and had numerous family members try to persuade my mother into meeting up with him to chat. And as a result my mother and I have gotten a new phone numbers to avoid his mess. I also happened to hear from a mate that Kate is trying to hire a lawyer so she can get child support money from me, but apparently because she has no proof I'm the father and refuses to take a DNA test of the baby, she hasn't had any luck. Edit 1. I forgot to mention it above as I didn't see it as important when writing this.
But Kate is apparently 5 weeks pregnant. We haven't been intimate for just under 2 months, so the baby is unlikely to be mine. If it is, I will pay child support, but I want proof before I pay her money for a baby that may or may not be mine. Edit 2. Just to clarify, Kate and I weren't having issues during the time we weren't intimate. I was too tired to initiate due to work commitments, and at the time I assumed she was as well, but it's likely her needs were met by either my father or other parties. Edit 3. Something else I forgot to mention. Yes, I did get an test for STIs and UTIs and any sort of infections I may not be aware of, and all tests came back negative, so I'm in the clear in that sense. Hi.
Guys, I've reposted the original post and the updates on my ACC for those who can't see one of them, if not all. Top replies. The update gets worse. She's pregnant and either you or your dad might be the father. Kate really set herself up for failure here. Second reply. Under 2 months y'all haven't been intimate. So this wasn't her first time hooking up with your dad, just the first time they got caught. Whoa, they're both messy people.
Original poster replies.
Makes me sick thinking about it. At least she'll be my father's problem, as I don't see her backing down from getting her child support from somewhere. The third reply. I've read the full story. I'm so sorry for you and your mom.
I'm confused. You said everything was perfect except for 1 week, when she started to act strange.
But now you are saying you had relationship problems for 2 months. Original poster replies. We didn't have problems, we just weren't being intimate. Neither of us were initiating sex. I was too tired, and at the time I assumed she was as well. Sorry, I should have clarified. The second story. My terminally ill husband has been trying to convince our kids to commit suicide if I get remarried. Oh God, this is just so terrible. I don't even know where to start. My husband, 42, is terminally ill. His health keeps declining by the day. We have 2 teenage kids together, 15 and 17. My husband's been talking a lot about the future lately. He's specifically trying to address my life after his passing. He tried getting me to promise him, even get it in writing, that I won't get remarried after him. I refused to even discuss this because it made uncomfortable. We'd fight about it almost daily. Now he's gotten the kids involved, and recently I found out that he's been trying to fill their head with bad stuff. He's literally tried to convince them to commit suicide if I get remarried and tried to bring them a stepdad. This shocked me beyond belief. My daughter told me this and she was crying, asking me to promise I won't love or marry anyone after her dad. I felt helpless and infuriated. I didn't know what to do. This caused a fight between me and him, and clearly I pushed him since he started crying last night. We haven't been talking since then, and it's just horrible at home. I feel suffocated and helpless. Top replies. As horrible as what he's saying is, you should talk to his doctor about it and see if what he's dying from could be affecting him mentally. This may just be a symptom of a medical condition. Even if it isn't, talk to your kids about it and tell them that he's not rational at the moment, because honestly he isn't, medical or not. Get your kids help now. And yourself likely as well. The second reply. Does he have a brain tumor? This is so messed up, it's the only explanation I can imagine making any sense that doesn't make him evil. If what he is dying of is heavily impacting his brain, because while I understand that being terminally ill must be extremely disorientating and it's normal for people processing that they are going to soon to have changes in personality etc. Telling your children to commit suicide is a whole other effing level. If confronting your mortality makes you do that, then there was something seriously wrong in the first place. Third reply. Oh girl. My dying father called my mom a B-I-T-C-H, and I whipped my head around and said to him, Dad, I know you're hurting. I know you're dying. It sucks. I hate it for you. But no, you do not get to say that about the woman who is in the other room running herself ragged to take care of you. I will not have it. Granted, I'm much older than your kids and have a smart mouth. But my dad shrunk in front of my eyes after I said that to him. He apologized to me. What your husband is doing is cruel and unfair to you and your kids. Get your children into therapy now. Also, do not let him be with them without an adult WHO will defend you present. He has lost that right. Edit. I'm seeing people here heavily suggesting therapy for the kids, which, for some reason, didn't occur to me from the beginning. I don't know why. I guess I've been so busy making sure they're physically well that I forgot about their mental health, but I agree that I need to do something in that regard. With that being said, I'm seeing others suggesting I get the kids out of the house and away from him. I'm not entirely sure whether or not this is a good idea because the kids spend literally most of their day with him. Besides school, I really can't bring myself to separate them. Especially keeping my husband's current health condition in mind. I don't want to be the reason he sees the kids less, but at the same time I'm aware of the damage he's causing them. I feel like my hands are tight, but I'm glad I received some insightful opinions. Third story. Am I the idiot for refusing to keep a low profile of my recent engagement and refuse to come without him to mother's birthday to accommodate jealous sister?
I 36F just got engaged to my better half, 43 meters, 2 weeks ago.
My sister, 28F, who has always been spoiled and coddled by my parents, was dumped by her long-term boyfriend for another woman after he graduated from medical school this past summer. She was looking forward to being a doctor's wife, thinking she'd be bathing in rubies and pearls, and proposed to her after only a few months. My sister is insanely jealous and competitive. She always has to be first, and always has to win. I expected she'd be jealous but grossly underestimated it. She was apparently so overcome with grief she had a nervous breakdown and had to be hospitalized and then move back home with my parents. My parents have asked me to keep a low profile, have canceled my engagement party, that was their idea, until further notice, probably forever, and to come alone to my mother's birthday in a few weeks and leave my ring at home. They love fiancés, so it's not that they don't approve of the relationship. This is to accommodate my sister. I said we are now a package deal, and if he's not welcome I'm not coming, and I absolutely will not take off and hide my ring like some director tie little secret. And I told them they are uninvited from my wedding and we are going no contact until they tender a sincere apology and revoke this ridiculous rule of keeping a low profile. I also said if this standoff goes through the wedding we are going no contact for good. I've never missed a parent's birthday, so my dad is pissed at me, and I called him a hypocrite because he went no contact with his parents for excluding my mother, over religious differences. He insists, this is different, and I said no it's not because he's expecting me to do something to my fiancé that he'd never do to his wife. Am I the idiot? The top replies, not the idiot. If happy moments in your life trigger severe mental health issues for your sister, that is absolutely a problem that needs to be examined. Harsh though it may sound, on some level her struggles are her own, and it's not really reasonable to expect you to prioritize avoiding inadvertently triggering her in every situation. Second reply, I suspect this will go against the grain, but nah. Your sister has had a nervous breakdown that required her to be hospitalized. She's not being dramatic or dying in a hill for the sake of it. She was almost institutionalized. I saw your first post before it was removed. I don't have the expertise to judge her for that. Your parents are focusing their resources and effort with their child who was hospitalized. It's desperately unfortunate for you, and you have every right to feel hard done by when this is your time, and every right to take a stand for your fiancé, but your parents are not idiots for this. They have a deeply unwell child, that has to be their focus. They're being unfair for trying to enforce a stricture on how you must behave, and you are in the right to defend your fiancé. But I can't in all honesty label them Oz for trying to avoid triggering their daughter who's just had a nervous breakdown. It sounds like you all need some cool-off time. I'm specifically putting aside the obvious competition issues between you and your sister. You make it out like it all stems from her, but you appear to be minimizing her nervous breakdown. Again, for which she was hospitalized. They don't do that for no reason. I think there's some mutual toxicity between you and your sister, and that's causing you to center yourself and your engagement in this dispute. It's not about you. Your sister is mentally unwell. You're allowed to be upset that you can't have the focus when you just got engaged, and to defend your fiancé. Your parents are allowed to think that protecting the daughter who's had to move home with them is the priority. Edit. The way you're talking about your sister's mental health issues in the comments is pushing you closer into idiot territory, to be honest. Original poster. Your obvious relationship issues with your sister doesn't invalidate her nervous breakdown.